News starts right now.
That unseasonably warm weather we've been having is over for now. Temperatures are dropping fast behind a cold front blasting through South Texas. We also have some showers developing throughout our viewing area. Adam Caskey is standing by with a quick look at your forecast. Adam?
Yeah, the cold front has hit San Antonio and most of South Texas, and we're feeling the drop in temperatures. But let's also talk about the shower activity that's developing along that cold front. Take a look at our radar out there, and you'll notice the showers mainly east of I-35 right now because that's where the cold front is. This is all being activated by that cold front that's generating the lift and causing these showers, especially in Wilson County, Karnes County, Atascosa County, the hot spots right now, but even southern Bexar County, right along 281, south of 410 through 1604. Still a pretty good shower there. Nice little accumulation. You could probably see a tenth to a quarter of an inch from that of additional rainfall on top of what you've already gotten. Not so great for traveling there, and travel is not going to be very good tomorrow either because we're just going to see more rainfall overspreading South Texas tonight and even on into tomorrow. So this is along the cold front here, and this is going to continue to produce showers as it progresses eastward toward the Gulf coastline over the next couple of hours. But temperatures, look at this. Beeville 73, 41 in Rock Springs. We're 50 here in San Antonio. Temperatures are falling quickly right when that front hits. Last hour, Pleasanton was in the 70s. Now they're 54 degrees. So you'll notice it right when it hits, not just with the cooler air, but wind. We're talking steady winds right now out of the north at 20 to 25 with gusts up to 45 miles per hour. So cold, windy, and becoming rainy overnight with that potential for snow for some folks into tomorrow. I'll break that down for you coming right up.
Thank you, Adam. It is a circumstance we've seen play out time and time again this year.
The involvement of Bexar County Sheriff's deputies in high-profile events is forcing their past discipline problems to the surface.
In this Defenders report, Dylan Collier looks at how Sheriff Javier Salazar has sometimes been saddled with addressing the leniency of past administrations.
Deputy John Paul Garza's year ended much the same way it began. Photographed in jail wearing a blue hooded sweatshirt after being accused of attacking his significant other. While Garza has in all likelihood worked his last shift as a deputy, it's worth examining why he was even still employed there the better part of the last decade. In late 2012, Garza used unnecessary force on an inmate while walking him back to his cell, and when questioned about it months later, lied during a polygraph test. Was he fired? No. A proposed 30-day suspension was later reduced to just 10 days, and Garza remained on the force.
Quite frequently, we will find things like that in my estimation, should have been handled differently years back.
Like the case of Deputy Jack Farmer, fired in September after suggesting on Facebook that people should lynch mob a suspected mail thief. Farmer in 2012 interfered in a felony credit card fraud case involving his then wife, showing up in full uniform in an effort to influence the elderly victims not to file criminal charges.
Just reading it, you think, well, gosh, to me that sounds pretty dangerously close to tampering with a witness, which is a criminal offense.
Not only was Farmer never charged, his suspension was knocked all the way down to 3 days. Salazar previously said he was in awe of the restraint shown by deputies who struggled with Damian Daniels outside his home this summer. It's worth noting, however, that John A. Rodriguez, the deputy who ultimately shot and killed the Army veteran, was suspended 3 days in 2013 after his arrest for assault of a family member. Had Salazar been sheriff at the time of Rodriguez's arrest, there's a strong chance he would have terminated him.
The criminal charge against Rodriguez was eventually dismissed. Garza, meanwhile, is scheduled to make a court appearance in early February. He has also been ordered to wear a GPS monitor. For the Defenders, Dylan Collier, KSAT 12 News.
Manuel Longoria, who handled discipline under the two previous sheriff's administrations, said via telephone today Garza's past discipline case was weakened because the inmate assault was not reported until nearly 6 months after it happened. He said the allegations against Farmer were also brought to the district attorney's office at the time, which said it did not rise to the level to be pursued criminally. He added that Rodriguez would have likely been reinstated if fired, because the criminal case against him did not move forward.
A man shot and killed outside of his home in the Northwest Side Fine Silver Ranch community last night. And tonight there are more questions than answers in this case. Neighbors say they heard the gunfire around 9 o'clock outside the home on Brent Cove. but who pulled the trigger is still unknown. Just before the shooting, SAPD says the victim walked outside to take a call and noticed a suspicious truck driving in front of his house. Police say the victim confronted the driver, who fired 2 shots, then sped away. While the motive is still unknown, neighbors are convinced the details will soon come to light.
I feel very confident that Vine Silver Ranch is a safe community. It will continue to be a safe community. I have no doubts that this criminal action will eventually be prosecuted.
Police are hoping surveillance cameras will give them some clues. Anyone with information is asked to call the SAPD homicide unit at the number on your screen, 210-207-7635.
It has been almost a week now since H-E-B pharmacies here in San Antonio received limited doses of the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine, which have been going to frontline workers. The state is now allowing people in the next phase to be vaccinated, but only if there's enough supply. We've gotten messages from viewers now eligible for that vaccine, but they were turned away when they tried to walk in for their shot. An H-E-B spokeswoman tells our Courtney Friedman why those people are being turned away and how they can soon sign up.
When H-E-B pharmacies across San Antonio got a hold of the Moderna vaccine on Christmas Eve, they immediately began vaccinating people in the state's Phase 1A, healthcare workers.
Most of our pharmacy locations do still have wait lists that they're working through that were specific to Phase 1A. So as soon as we have more supply, we'll continue to move into Phase 1B, those who are eligible there as well.
Julie Bedingfield with H-E-B Public Affairs says even though the state is now allowing people in the next phase to be vaccinated, in San Antonio H-E-Bs, those folks will have to wait until healthcare workers are no longer in line. Phase 1B includes people older than 65 and people older than 16 with at least one chronic illness.
As we move into Phase 1B, hopefully in the next week, we will stand up an online scheduler.
That online scheduler will soon appear on HEB.com's pharmacy page. People are being asked to use that instead of calling the pharmacy to schedule appointments. And walk-ins are not allowed for one main reason: vaccine waste.
With the Moderna vaccine in particular, every vial we receive has about 10 doses that we can administer. And once you puncture that vial, it's a ticking clock to get those administered. The appointments we're scheduling we're doing in those groups of 10, so we know not a single dose is wasted.
Bedingfield echoing healthcare workers, once you have that appointment to get the vaccine, do not miss it and be on time. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Any Phase 1A frontline workers who still need to be vaccinated can email wellnessservices@heb.com. Anyone else can check early next week on the H-E-B pharmacy website for that new appointment scheduler.
Let's take a look at the roadways right now with your time saver traffic. This is a shot of Highway 90 West at Zarzamora, where you can see traffic is flowing pretty smoothly in both directions. However, the roads are, all in all, wet out there. New at 6, when it comes to protecting your personal information, it can be more than just shredding credit card statements and other documents. Could the personal touches you put on your car also give criminals a clue to your weak spots? Japhanie Gray found out how your bumper sticker or window decal could leave you vulnerable.
We just want to bring the awareness so people can watch for their surroundings and watch what they're giving out to the public.
In today's society, it might pay to be picky with what you put on your car. Search police say those decals that show the number of people in your family may offer too much information to strangers.
Some people may think, it's just harmless, it's just a bumper sticker. But some of our criminals may actually get your information off of it. Special Projects Officer for Search PD, Anna Kraft, warns those bumper stickers supporting your active duty military spouse can also be concerning. That's telling the criminals, hey, I have a spouse that is not home all the time. And while you may love your dog, criminals may love knowing the specific guard dog you have in your home when you're gone. A little Chihuahua. So that's then telling the criminals, I have a small dog in my house. And the most concerning of them all, the wonderful, my child is an honor roll student at such and such school. Well, now you just told them what school your child goes to. Kraft says the best stickers and decals are the ones that are not too specific. So you may still want to say that your student is still doing well in school without naming the actual school. Ultimately, Kraft says the choice is yours, but to just be careful. Everybody deserves to be proud and show their proudness to their family, their kids, what their husband or wife does. we just want you to be a little bit safe when you advertise what your family does.
Japhanie Gray, KSAT 12 News.
Take another look outside with live cam. Gray, windy, chilly, precipitation falling.
Yeah, we've had some decent showers around Bexar County so far today. You know, they've dropped up to 1/4 inch in some spots, but we're going to add to that as we go through the night tonight. Today, we started at 50 degrees. We briefly made it to 72, but our official low is not going to be coming until midnight. We're at 50 right now. Bernie 45 in Kerrville, 54 in Pleasanton. Out ahead of the cold front, we're still in the low 70s once you get along the coastal plain. But that cold front is progressing. And we are looking at some decent rainfall potential through tomorrow, anywhere from about a half an inch to 1.5 inches for a good portion of South Texas, even higher accumulations the closer you are to Houston. So the rain is slowly coming together. An upper level system over Mexico is going to drive this rain tonight, increasing rain chances tonight. And we're going to break it down for you where we could see some snow coming right up.
It is time for our daily briefing from the city and the county to see how our numbers are doing with the coronavirus.
Let's take you now to our virtual daily briefing.
Some of the process regarding the vaccinations here in our community and answer some of the questions that we've been receiving on that. This is our COVID-19 update for the San Antonio community. Tonight, we're reporting 1,323 new cases of COVID-19, which brings the total to 115,685 since the pandemic began. Our new 7-day rolling average remains very high, currently at 1,121. If I can take a brief personal point, yesterday I went to go pay my final respects to a great community leader, someone who has served this country named Roy Guajardo, who left behind a very loving family, Delia, his wife. And so I want to say behind each one of these numbers is a family, is a person who we miss very dearly, and we certainly will miss Roy. While I was there, I also ran into Ali Wallace, who many of you may know. He suffered from COVID and has made a complete recovery. Ali is a very renowned photographer here in our community, and his wife, Doris, was also stricken with COVID and unfortunately became the first fatality in our community. I bring that up because I want everyone to understand that this year has been extraordinarily difficult for so many families in our community. And when we report these numbers, particularly the ones that I'm going to report tonight, please understand there is a grieving family and a grieving community behind. And sadly, there are 17 new families that we have to report tonight are missing a loved one, 17 new deaths to report tonight. Rather than go through the demographics of each of them, I'll share with you that they are of nearly all ages and ethnicities, with the youngest being 2 white males and a Hispanic female, each in their 30s. So please keep them and all those who have lost this year in your prayers. The stress in our hospital system continues to increase as well. We have 1,136 COVID-19 patients in our hospitals tonight. That's up 20 from yesterday. We have 159 new admissions in the last 24 hours. 331 patients are in the ICU and 165 are on ventilators. Before I hand it over to the judge, I do want to make mention at the tail end of this briefing, Dr. Bridger will provide us an update on vaccines, but let me first turn it over now to Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolf.
Thanks, Mayor, and thanks for putting a human face on the numbers that we give out. These numbers become somewhat meaningless to people sometime, and when you point out who are some of the people that are passing away, it begins to have a bigger impact. It seems like, unlike the summer, I have more friends and relatives who, are getting COVID. And spreading, I think, so much faster now than we had during the summer. The mayor gave you the numbers on the hospitals, but there's an underlying issue there that we really had more people in hospitals than we ever had during the summer, because they're able to treat them now and release them with saving about 5 to 7 days of hospital time because they got better treatment. So that means a lot more people are really, really getting sick when they have to go to the hospital. I mean, I say as long, but they've really been sick and could have repercussions, throughout their whole life. we're facing a problem here. The state is facing a big one itself. They are over 11,351 in the hospital. They have already exceeded the number that they had on July the 22nd, which was 10,893. We're very, very close to exceeding our summer numbers, but the state's already gone beyond that. I did get my vaccine today. I felt that being 80 years old, I was eligible. I'd waited 2 weeks. Mayor and I had been out to University Hospital on the 18th of December and saw the rollout. We've now inoculated all of our frontline workers, some 5,500 of them. So I did get it today and wanted to try to send the message to everybody that when that vaccine becomes available to them, to be sure and get it right away. It's may have some side effect. The only side effect I've had so far was just like a little pinprick in the arm and really hadn't hurt at all. But some people do have side effects. But there's so much misinformation. That's another reason I went ahead and got it over the internet. So many lies out there trying to discourage people from getting it. It's a tragedy that that's out there. And so we all need not to be afraid to get that vaccine and to do it. So we do have a hard time, going through this summer. This winter. We may have that strand. We don't know. But we do know it's spreading very, very fast. And so you really got to take care of yourself this New Year's Eve, which is tomorrow, right? You want to stay home, turn on your television, do the virtual fireworks. You want to drink, take your bottle of bourbon, go home and drink it at home. But stay home. All right. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Judge. And to go a little bit further in depth into the vaccination process in our community, Dr. Bridger now has a briefing.
Thank you very much.
All right, a very somber update from that virtual briefing there. The latest numbers tonight, 1,323 new cases in our community, bringing the 7-day rolling average to 1,121.
The bad news, 17 new deaths. The mayor putting a personal touch on that. He had attended a funeral for someone he knew yesterday who had passed, and then talking about a local photographer whose wife was one of the first to pass in our community because of this. And, this is something that just continues to get worse. The judge saying that the state has now surpassed the numbers we saw this summer. And here in San Antonio locally, we're getting awful close to surpassing that number as well.
Yeah, our hospital systems are stressed. They also mentioned more people in the hospital right now than we've ever had before. So certainly stay safe out there. Meantime, let's turn now to weather. Very cold out there already. Adam.
Yeah, temperatures are dropping quickly with that cold front. Cold, windy, and becoming rainy. Let's get right to it. Take a look at our future cast. We're going to jump right into it. West Texas, we're talking Marathon, Alpine. Oh, that's going to be the sweet spot for snowfall. They're looking at a foot plus, especially in the higher elevations. Around here, we're looking at mostly a cold rain. Now, the rain is going to become more widespread, the showers more numerous gradually through the night. So while we're sleeping tonight, expect the rain to really start to cover all corners of South Texas to varying degrees. There will be some locations that get heavier rain, maybe east of I-35, and elsewhere we just get some lighter showers. But I think we'll all get touched by it at least at some point tonight and even through the first part of the day tomorrow. This is 8 a.m. tomorrow. Notice the colder air aloft starts to work its way down the Rio Grande. And I do think shortly after sunrise, we could start to see some wet snowflakes around Del Rio. And then the hours following that up into the parts of the western hill country. So the closer you are to San Antonio, the higher your chances are of just a cold rain. The farther west and northwest you are of San Antonio, the greater your chances are of seeing some wet snowflakes, even into the afternoon. Edwards County, Real County points northward up toward Junction. And depending on where a few little enhanced areas and enhanced bands set up, you can actually have some decent accumulations. The potential for about 2 to 5 inches in the Rock Springs area and even in northern Val Verde County, especially in those higher terrain. But elsewhere, you're talking Bandera, Kerrville, Lakey, and just south of Del Rio, probably just a trace of the wet snowflakes. Breezy tonight, or gusty tonight, breezy tomorrow. We'll start the day at 39, make it up to 45. Rain will start to taper off tomorrow afternoon. The New Year's Day sunny, and still only 58 for the high temperature, but this weekend we're looking at 60s.
All right, thank you so much, Adam.
Greg will have sports right after this.
This SA Salutes holiday greeting is brought to you by CPS Energy.
Hi, I'm Missy with CPS Energy.
scheduler at Eastside Service District. Want to say thank you to all of our first responders. I'm wearing red in support of our troops who have yet to make it back home. Thank you and happy holidays.
San Antonio Spurs also defending NBA champions tonight. What will be 3 games over the next 5 days against the Lakers. 2 here in San Antonio, 1 in L.A. No LaMarcus Aldridge tonight, sore knees according to the Spurs. Now we are getting an update on LeBron James. Is expected to play tonight after being listed as questionable with a left ankle sprain on his 36th birthday today. For the Spurs point guard DeJounte Murray, he admits LeBron was his favorite player growing up and has since become close to the 4-time NBA champion, but does not when it comes to being on the court together.
I respect him as LeBron James, as a great basketball player when we compete against one another. But all that, favorite player, big bro, whatever you want to call it, that's out the window. I look at him as an enemy on the floor because I know he's trying to destroy me and my team. So, I want to destroy him and his team.
All right, tip time tonight, 7:30. I have all the highlights for you tonight on the Night Beat. The Valero Alamo Bowl always lives up to the billing, and last night there was plenty of drama and excitement in the showdown between number 20 Texas Longhorns and the Colorado Buffaloes, a game that saw the Horns lose their starting quarterback while 2 new stars were born for the Burnt Orange. Sam Ehlinger was spot on in the first half, throwing one quick touchdown to Bijan Robinson after Robinson had scored the first on the ground to lift the Horns to a 17-10 lead at halftime. But now for the drama. When the second half started, no Sam Ehlinger. Instead, it was sophomore Casey Thompson calling the shots at quarterback and did not miss a beat. Fired 2 quick ones to Joshua Moore before finding Robinson again to get the Horns out to a 41-16 lead. And then the big one, the 73-yard bomb to Kelvonte Dixon, his 4th of the night. Robinson finished with 183 yards on the ground. Ehlinger had a sore shoulder. We don't know what's wrong exactly with the shoulder, but it was in a sling and in a 55-23 victory.
I told Sam during the game on the bench, and then after the game I said, hey man, I really appreciate you and the rest of the team for just trusting me and believing in me, because I don't think that everyone be as confident, if they didn't see it at practice.
To see that all of these young guys do what they did and win the game the way that we did, convincingly that way, definitely, I think puts a smile on a lot of us coaches on our faces, knowing what we're going to be able to work with in the offseason.
The Fighting Texas Aggies making final preparation for getting ready to travel to Miami for their appearance in the Orange Bowl against North Carolina as the 5th-ranked team in the nation. The Aggies finished their regular season 8-1 in the 3rd year of Jimbo Fisher as their head coach and playing in the most prestigious bowl game since 2013. San Antonio's own Kellen Mond has been a big part of the Aggies' improvement, throwing for over 2,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, and just 3 interceptions all this season. And now, as a senior, tells us he doesn't know if he'll opt in for next season or not. Right now, he's focused on finishing out with a win. But if this is his last season in Aggie land, how does Kellen want to be remembered?
Early in my career, I wanted to just leave this place a lot better than, where I came in. And, I could definitely say so far from the season that I've had and, the impact that I've made on other people, whether it was on the field or off the field, I've, had a huge impact on a lot of people. And so, that was one of my goals coming to A&M, and, I definitely think I've done that already.
And former Aggie quarterback and Heisman Trophy winner Johnny Manziel says he is ready to resume his football career in a startup league called Fan-Controlled Football, which will feature 7-on-7 games beginning in February. The fans setting the rosters and calling the plays.
Not done yet.
He says. We'll see.
Wish him well.
You got it.
Our KSAT Q&A with Dr. Ruth Berggren is coming up next.
Welcome back. It is time again for our KSAT Q&A, and today we are joined again by Dr. Ruth Berggren from the Long School of Medicine at UT Health San Antonio. Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor. I want to get right to it. We have some stuff hot off the presses. The new SG2 model released. You just got it. We're going to pop it up while you're talking about it. What is it showing?
So for the first time, our SG2 model is indicating that we are at risk of exceeding the surge that we had over the summer. Up until now, our model has always told us we're not going to go that high. And now, if you can look at this curve, you see the dotted black line is where we've been up to where we are, which is just about where the cursor is, if you can see that. Then you see the dotted black line seems to split off into 3 different curves, orange, green, and blue. And we see that if we follow the path that's green or orange, we will exceed the highest peak number of COVID hospitalizations that we saw over the summer. That is pretty critical. If it happens, it means that our hospitals are at risk of not being able to accommodate everybody with COVID inside the hospital. We are at risk, potentially, of having to spill out into non-optimal places for people to be hospitalized. However, notice that there is that blue curve, which is in the realm of possibility, and that does not have us exceeding that threshold. And we can get there, but it's going to require that people be extremely careful over the next couple of weeks. It means an extremely quiet, homebound New Year's Eve, and I really urge people to do it. We don't want to see more deaths in our community. I myself am upset now because one of my closest friends is hospitalized and very ill with COVID, somebody who has been very careful right along and is a healthy person, not much older than I am. So it's striking very close to home, and I don't want it to come to your home. So please be careful.
And my apologies, Dr. Berggren, to you and your friend. If we could pop that model up one more time, I want our viewers to get a clear picture of this because it's kind of hard to see on the screen. At what point is that? It's really hard. I know I can't see it from where I'm sitting right here, but at what point are we going to reach that? What part of the year? Is that January?
Yeah, so that highest level is sometime between the 4th and 11th of January. And our prior models have suggested that we would stay up there for over a month before we really started coming down. So we don't want to go there, but we can avoid going there by what we choose to do. And we've got to continue these masking, hand washing, and 6-foot distancing practices. We really need to do it.
Does this model take that new strain into effect? Does it consider that at all? I know that there's a lot of concern, obviously, about this new strain. It's been found already in Colorado and California. What's the likeliness that it's here, and does that take it into effect?
Right. California has just reported a case hours ago, and we've got it in Colorado. And the extent to which that is accounted for here is something I cannot answer for you, but I think this is a pretty up-to-date model, which is feeding in as much up-to-date information as we have. This is the best we can predict right now. So I wouldn't catastrophize by imagining it being even worse because of a more infectious strain. Also know that this strain is clearly more infectious, but it's not been shown to be more deadly. So people will be just as sick. The problem is that there would be more of them getting sick.
The good news, of course, in all of this is we now do have 2 vaccines that are out there, and news coming that 2 more may be on the way. I believe it's Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca. When can we expect to see those come into the mix, and what is the difference from what is already out there? I believe these don't require the cold storage.
So I want to mention yet another one that you didn't mention that we're starting as a clinical trial. It's already underway at UT Health. And that is a protein antigen-based platform, which is a much more traditional kind of vaccine that's designed very similarly to the childhood vaccines that people have had. And that is something that if people are interested, they can go to uthealthresearch.com. They can quickly find their way to the COVID-19 vaccine trial. And that is one option that people have. As to the exact timing of when the others are coming, we're still waiting for that. We do think that they will be easier to administer from the standpoint of the cold chain. That means we don't have to keep these vaccines in -80 freezers like we have to for the Pfizer, certainly.
Dr. Ruth Berggren, we still have some questions for you, but we're going to get to a quick commercial break. If you could stick around and stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back to our KSAT Q&A with Dr. Ruth Berggren. And right before the break, we talked a little bit, Dr. Berggren, about some of the different vaccines available to folks. We are right now in phase 1B of that rollout. My question is, how long do you think we're going to be in this phase? And when can we see the next phase, when most of the general public, or if that is in fact the next phase, when can general public expect to start receiving their vaccines?
Yeah, general public is probably spring. I'm not going to say exactly when in the spring. And remember that this current 1B includes everybody that's over 75, and it includes people over 65 that have conditions such as heart disease, lung disease, diabetes, or who are immunocompromised. So there's quite a few, right? There's a lot of people in that 65 and over age group who have medical conditions that place them at high risk. Then we walk down under the 65-year-olds to the next lowest rung, which would be people that aren't meeting a certain age criterion but have a comorbid condition. So it's going to take us to the spring. It really is. And during this time, we're just going to keep having to take our precautions.
The rollout of the vaccine obviously has not been as great as the government had hoped. They were hoping to have 20 million by the end of the year. Obviously, much lower than that, only about 2.5 million people so far. What are your concerns? How long is it going to take to vaccinate? Or do you think when we get a new administration in the new year, as this continues to roll out, that we will see this ramp up exponentially and we'll start seeing more and more of these vaccines being released?
Right. So I think that the engagement of our commercial pharmacies, in San Antonio, we have HEB very actively putting vaccines into arms right now for people that are still in the Tier 1A, meaning folks that are healthcare workers, medical students, people like that are getting it from HEB. And I think that the very first round of vaccines only went to large institutions that had ample storage space in that special cold storage area. Now we're seeing a ramping up, and you can imagine, we have only a couple of universities in San Antonio, but we have many, many, many pharmacies. And now that the whole country is getting the vaccines to those kinds of places, now I think we are going to ramp up and we're going to see things going forward with increasing speed. I think people will also pay attention to this concerning news about the increased infectiousness of this new mutant strain, and that I believe that will draw more people to sign up for and get their vaccine. I've been speaking to people every day in different parts of the country, asking me about my opinion, should they get vaccinated because of this or that condition. And there are very few people who shouldn't get this vaccine. So everybody needs to figure out what's the closest location to you where you could get your vaccine. And if you are a Tier 1B person who meets the criteria I just mentioned, you need to make that phone call and get yourself an appointment.
Dr. Ruth Berggren, as always, thank you so much for your time and Happy New Year.
Thank you. I hope it is a Happy New Year for many people.
Thanks, Doctor.
We'll be right back.
Good night to start a fire in the fireplace, bundle up, cuddle up, do whatever to stay warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and tomorrow, New Year's Eve, is a good day to just continue that because it's going to be a cold, windy and rainy day. And most of us are looking at just a cold rain across South Texas, especially here in San Antonio. But there will be some locations, some folks that get some wintry precip, and travel will be difficult in some parts of South Texas. So let's talk about it first, taking a look at our radar, where we have the shower action at this time. And that's mainly east of I-35 along the coastal plain. That's the cold front that's moving through. And yes, you feel the colder air compared to what we had this morning. Temperatures have taken a hit. We'll take a look at those readings in a moment. Around San Antonio, no real active showers, a sprinkle here and there possible, mainly Atascosa County and even LaSalle County, just east of Cotulla. A little bit of lightning and thunder associated with that heavier rain between Cotulla and Tilden. There's not much on the radar screen right now, but we are anticipating a lot more to be developing as we get into the nighttime hours tonight and lasting through about the first half of Thursday. Already some heavy snow in West Texas. That's where we're going to see most of the snow. Far West Texas, especially the higher terrain out there. What we're waiting for here to really get our showers going is this upper level system, this big upper level circulation. That's going to get closer to us and through the night boost those rain chances and cause some more widespread showers. So let's take a look at our futurecast 10, to midnight tonight. We'll start to see the rain filling in on the radar screen. Some areas of embedded heavier rain here and there throughout the night and even into the first part of the day tomorrow. You see 5 a.m. here, and this computer model is indicating fairly widespread rainfall with pockets of heavy rain. I think 1 inch accumulations will be pretty common across South Texas with this system, especially once we get into the midday and afternoon hours tomorrow. But here's the key. Colder air up above us is going to start to stream in, and it's coming in basically down the Rio Grande tomorrow morning. So as early as, say, 9, 10 a.m., Del Rio could easily have some wet snowflakes mixing in. And then that colder air is going to start pushing northeastward into Edwards County, Rock Springs, Real County area. And we are expecting a wintry mix changing over to snow in parts of the western and northern hill country there. The big question is, in terms of how much snow, is exactly where the heavier bands start to set up and how long we can see some of that heavier snow. But there is the potential for some decent accumulations in Edwards County and around Rock Springs. So let's talk about that. San Antonio, a cold rain. You even get into the hill country just west and northwest of town, Bandera, Pipe Creek, Comfort. You're looking at mainly a cold rain as well. Once you get into Valverde County, Edwards County, Real, Western Kerr, that's where the rain or the snow chances really go up. And if everything falls into place, we could easily see 2 to 5 inches in some parts of Edwards County, northern Valverde County, maybe even creeping into northern Real County. The potential is there if we get some of those enhanced bands that set up at the right time once you've changed over to snow. Otherwise, you go from Eagle Pass to Uvalde, Bracketville, Bandera, Pipe Creek, Kerrville, maybe a trace. If you're lucky, you'll get a little frosting on some grassy surfaces, but I do think travel will be impacted west of Kerrville tomorrow and north of Del Rio, okay? Even north of Uvalde on 83, expect travel to be impacted. So Real County, Edwards County, Valverde County, Western Kerr County, that's where travel will really be impacted by the snow throughout the day tomorrow. I mean, we're talking over a foot in West Texas, okay? Marathon, Alpine, yeah. More than a ruler, right? So big system moving in. We're just getting clipped by the cold air. 70s along the coastal plain, 40s right now in the hill country. Not only that, it's colder now. It's going to be cold tonight in the upper 30s, but the wind will be gusting up to 45 miles per hour. So colder, gusty tonight, still breezy tomorrow. We'll start the day at 39, only make it to 45. Fireplace, hot cocoa, blankets, movies, streaming, whatever. It's a good day for that. Rain chances starting to taper off as we get into the afternoon and evening. And then as we get into New Year's Day, Friday, just sunshine, upper 50s for highs, and this weekend back in the 60s.
What a rebound.
Yes, thank you, Adam. In case you missed it, it's coming up next. Here's today's In Case You Missed It.
Good morning, Wednesday, December 30th.
Last night around 9 o'clock, San Antonio police say that this quiet cul-de-sac in the Fine Silver Ranch community was the scene of deadly gun violence.
This is the last place that you would think a shooting would happen.
Some news just into our newsroom. A man is facing murder charges in an overnight deadly shooting. Police tell us 33-year-old Kevin Lee Perez was arguing with his girlfriend when he fired several rounds. Police say one of the bullets hit the victim driving by in his vehicle. This all happened in the 7700 block of Oakdale Drive. The victim then crashed about 5 miles down the road at Moss Rock and Robin Hill Drive. Officers found him dead with a gunshot wound to his upper body and severe head trauma. Cleanup is underway today after an overnight fire ripped through a 2-story home just north of downtown. This happened around 3 o'clock this morning in the 700 block of Marshall Street. We're told that fire quickly spread from the first floor to the attic, making it difficult for firefighters to put those flames out. A large part of the home was destroyed and damages are estimated to be around $60,000. No one was home at the time. It's still unclear right now what caused the fire, but crews say the investigation has been handed over to arson.
Connell's bill ensures a vote on the stimulus checks would also mean a decision on a committee to investigate election fraud and repealing protections for social media companies. All Trump demands. What's next? Unclear after the Senate Majority Leader shot down 2 efforts by Democrats to vote on direct payments alone.
We are going to be saying goodbye to 2020 tomorrow night. But before we do, we want to show you 2020 through the eyes of KSAT. From COVID-19 to protests, hurricanes, and the election, we want to share some of the memorable moments from our newsroom. You can watch our 1 hour long primetime special, 2020 through the eyes of KSAT, coming up right after this newscast. You can also stream it on our website, ksat.com.
Cold and windy tonight, gusts up to 45 miles per hour, temperatures falling down into the upper 30s, and rain becoming more widespread gradually through the night. While we're sleeping is when we'll probably see our peak rain chances all the way up through the very first part of tomorrow morning. Then into tomorrow afternoon, the rain and the precipitation moves out of town. The travel issues will especially be in the northern and western hill country and north of Del Rio, where we could have some wintry travel impacts. Otherwise, around San Antonio, just a breezy day tomorrow. Cold and in the 40s. With the rain, we could easily tally up an inch of rain here and there across South Texas, then clearing out by Friday, New Year's Day. Still cool, 58, warmer into the weekend.
Thank you, Adam, and thanks for watching the 6 o'clock news.
See you back here for the Night Beat tonight. Have a good evening.